Hello everyone and welcome at another episode of Site Spotlight. My name is Marieke van der Rakt and I'm here today with Taco Verdonschot. Taco, how are you doing?
I'm really good, and I'm really looking forward to this episode.
Right, me too. So let's deep dive in and look at the homepage of the website we're reviewing. And we're reviewing the website called Business Bloomer. And right at the top, we see the headline, Become a WooCommerce Expert Without a Degree. And just below that, enter our community of WooCommerce specialists and get access to support, masterclasses, online courses, and member-only resources. And then a call to action with Join the Club. So what's this website is about? I think it's pretty straightforward. It's offering a memberships-based community for people working with WooCommerce. And if you join the club, in return you get support, courses, masterclasses, access to exclusive content. Now, you do need to know what WooCommerce is to get value out of this, but I think that's fine because people who land on this page probably already do, and otherwise they're not eligible to become. They're not the target audience at all.
Yep.
One suggestion, since this is a membership, I'd recommend using the word member more often. The call to action says join the club, which is great, but reinforcing that idea of membership throughout the page, if you scroll a bit down, Taco, I think that would make it more tangible. What does being a member look like? What do you get? What else is part of it? So when we do scroll down, we start to see categories of resources, things like snippets, plugins, customizations. And I'm not entirely sure what these sections add to that main message to become a member. Might be useful for existing members, but for new visitors, it slightly distracts from the focus on joining that club.
Yeah, so maybe this should only be shown to those who are logged in.
Perhaps, but perhaps there's also content that's free for everyone, and we don't know that. So that's the thing. I think it could be more focused because there's a lot of different sections, each offering something different. Free stuff, maybe paid stuff, research libraries, support courses. And for a new visitor, that might feel like a bit much. So a cleaner separation, like one section for what's included in the membership, and another one which is called free resources, and another for testimonials perhaps, that might help. And once again, emphasizing that membership model more clearly throughout would reinforce that thing you want to establish, and that is to get people to join your club. So that's my first impression. I'm really looking forward to what you have to say, Taco.
So let's look at the technical side of this website. Because while the idea of a membership site isn't really complicated, it's not really hard, the technical implementation can be. After all, you want your content to be available to your community, but not to everyone else, and especially for the member-only content. So if you fence everything off, then Google and other search engines have no clue about what's happening on your site, which may hurt your SEO. And when we're looking at Business Bloomer, we can see some of that trade-off. And that already starts when we look at the sitemap. So let me navigate to the sitemap. You can see that this is a Yoast SEO sitemap, and it looks fairly clean. There's posts, there's a lot of posts actually, so a lot of content written on the site. There's some pages, there's some products, and then we have lessons and classes. And those are interesting. So for example, if we look at the lesson sitemap, you can see that these are all sort of coded.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a clear indication that this is not supposed to be human readable. This is probably not for humans. So when we take a random page, what we see is a lesson page. So this is a lesson, part of Configure Woo in Module 4. It's lesson 4, talking about prices, inclusive tax and exclusive tax.
Interesting.
Yeah. You can mark it as complete according to the button. Spoiler, it doesn't do anything when you're not logged in. And there's supposedly a video, but that one you can only see when you're logged in. Now, this seems like, okay, there's some value on this page even when you can't see the video. However, the far majority of all the lessons has a very similar layout. So the only text on there is about the captions, and then the message that the video's unavailable with some links to resources. But that's very thin content
Yeah.
on a lesson page. And there's a lot of those lesson pages. So the far majority of this site consists, for those who are not logged in, of thin content pages.
Yeah.
And that might be problematic in the search engines. Now, solving this is not a super straightforward thing. It's quite hard actually to do this right, but there's a nice article about this written by a guy named Barry Adams, and
No.
it's called Best Practices for Paywalls and SEO. And it lives on the SEO for Google News website, which is his website. We'll add the short link either on screen or in the show notes, because if you go to prpl.fyi/paywall-SEO, here you will find a short link to this article so you can learn more about how to do the paywall how to handle a paywall on your website. Next to that, we go back to the sitemap. Let me go here to the site index. We already saw that this site's running Yoast SEO, and there's a whole range of technical optimization tools in Yoast SEO to hide these specific lessons, to no index them, to handle that. So that's not something you have to figure out yourself. You can just do that in the Yoast SEO plugin. Now, the other thing for this website is that by default, WordPress adds feeds to any page on your site. And that is, for example, a comments feed. It is an article feed. It's a lot of different ways of consuming information about your site, and also in different formats, which means that for every sort of visible page on your site, WordPress creates 4 or more URLs. All of them are very similar and do not necessarily add value to your site. So when Google is analyzing the breadth of your website, it includes all of these because they are linked in the page source. Now, that might not be helpful, especially when you have all those lessons.
Yeah.
So make sure that you go into the Yoast SEO advanced settings and remove all of those feeds that you don't need.
Yeah.
If you are running Progress Planner, you would already have gotten a reminder to do this, because Progress Planner helps you set this the best way for your site using Yoast SEO. So that might also be a way to tackle this problem.
We'll help you to do it, and you'll earn points while doing it.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the content on Business Bloomer. I think there's a lot of it. And I also think that it's clearly been created with care. The tutorials are very practical, are very hands-on, especially valuable for the more tech-savvy audience, which isn't me. But if you're a developer or a WooCommerce user, I think these kinds of direct-to-the-point guidance is ideal. The code examples are clean, they're well formatted, they're easy to copy. That's exactly what you want from a technical blog. Now, while the content is technical, I think it's still fairly approachable, and that's not always easy to do. That said, sometimes a bit more explanation or step-by-step context could help readers more who are not experienced developers. Even just adding a few sentences could go a long way of broadening the audiences. So I looked at a few different articles, and I ran a readability analysis on one of the blog posts that I always use the Yoast SEO plugin to do that, and I was actually impressed. I found one of the blog posts had all green bullets. So that's a strong sign that the content is well structured, it's easy to follow, at least from a technical readability standpoint. But I think overall in the blog, there are some things that could be improved. Some posts have too much passive voice. This is very common in tutorials. It's easy to slip into phrasing like the plugin was installed by the developer, but you really want to aim for an active voice and say the developer installs the plugin. And why? Well, because passive voice makes the sentences longer, makes them harder to follow, and it creates a tone that is very distant. I don't think it's a huge problem on this blog, but it is something to keep an eye on. Sentence length is always a problem with everybody. I came across at least one blog post where the sentence length was far too long throughout. And that makes the content much harder to read, especially online. So shorter sentences improve clarity, help readers stay engaged. And finally, the call to action. And this is something that's often missing at the end of blog posts. But after you've read a great tutorial, it's not always clear what I can do next. Can I read another blog post? Can I sign up for the membership? Can I download something? I think that's a missed opportunity. Every post should gently guide the reader towards the next step, especially if that step supports your business model, which is joining the club. That's it, what I had to say about the concept.
Let's take another look at the homepage, and specifically the section called Available Class Recordings. Because what you see here are 8 tiles, and actually that's the start of many more because there's pagination below here. But there's a problem with these, because they're links to different posts, to different articles. However, they don't have a link text. So that means that someone who's using a screen reader or other assistive technology has no idea where this link goes or what it does. It's just completely empty. And that's not very helpful, as you'll understand. So the end result of that is that the links are not read out to a screen reader user, which basically means they don't exist on the site for those users. There's a fairly easy solution if you don't want to add any text that's visible to your sort of regular users. I hate the term, but let's put it that way. What you can do is use a span with a class called screen reader text. This exists in WordPress and helps you put text in that's only visible to screen readers. So it's hidden for regular users, but you could use that in this case to make sure that these links at least have content for screen reader users. Overall, it would probably be a good idea to build this slightly differently technically so that you don't have to work around the problem, but can just have a link that has text. Now the other thing is alt text, because there's a couple of images. Let's scroll down, see if we can find the WordPress development tools. Oh, scroll up a bit, I'm sorry. The WordPress development tools, I can see, yes, here they are. So if we look at this section called WooCommerce Development Tools, you'll see that there are 3 images on the site.
Right.
None of them have an alt text, which means that someone relying on assistive technology has no idea what's in the image. And that means people don't know what these say or where they go if they're links. So that's also something that you can easily improve. When looking at the site speed of your site, we're using a tool called Google PageSpeed Insights.
Right.
This tool does an analysis of how you're doing with regards to site speed and other vital, important measures of vital importance. Mostly the core web vitals, and as you can see, it's looking quite okay for this website. Overall, it's pretty fast. We're talking about seconds and even milliseconds, except for the time to first byte.
Right.
And we can see that in the performance score. And if we scroll down a little bit further, we can see that that is mostly caused by a render blocking request.
Right.
And that seems to be caused by the font that's loaded on this website. They're using a Google font that's actually loaded directly from Google, which means that on a page request, you're actually waiting for the Google servers to serve you that font file. And that's a severe slowdown.
And what could you do? Could you use another font?
Well, that's a solution, but there's also a nice plugin for WordPress. It's called OMGF, and it looks like this. And it will download the font locally, which means that you no longer have to serve it from the Google site, but you can serve it directly from your own website, which speeds it up significantly.
Yeah, that's a good solution.
And it has an added benefit because you're no longer exposing your visitor's IP to Google, which means that you're not violating the GDPR anymore by having this locally. So this plugin actually has a double benefit.
Great. What a great solution. Easy. I like that. If you come up with easy solutions for difficult problems.
Yeah, because this is technically quite a difficult problem. Because you want that nice font, but you also want to have your fast website. And with OMGF, you can do that.
Get the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. And with that, we've reached the end of the site review of Business Bloomer. Overall, a very nice website. There's a lot of valuable, well-written information on the site. It is challenging from a technical perspective because it's a membership website. So there's some further reading to do here to further optimize that. But
and I think you gave a lot of easy to handle feedback, Taco. This is, I would love that if I was Business Bloomer because you can actually solve it. Yeah.
Well, let's hope Rodolfo agrees, and we'll see what happens in the coming months.
Yes. Well, this was it, I think. We'll see you at the next episode of Site Spotlight.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. We know your time is valuable, and we're glad you spent some of it with us. If you got value from today's video, go ahead and like, leave a comment, and hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss the next tip. And if you're ready to keep going, check out another video right here. We've got more ways to help you level up your website without the overwhelm.